my channel. My name is Stacey Flowers and I am a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and on a journey to become 100% debt free. I am currently on baby step number 1 to save $500, and that is because my income is under $20,000 a year. I currently work part-time, earning anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 a month. In this video, I am going to be talking about baby step number 0, which is a commonly overlooked baby step in the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University plan. So if you are interested in learning more about baby step number 0, how I was able to successfully complete baby step number 0, please keep watching. Look, it was something that people kept saying in the comments, you know, you're on baby step 0, you're on baby step 0. And it's interesting because I thought people were just adding to Dave Ramsey's program, but they're not. What they are identifying is some of the tasks that Dave Ramsey suggests that you do before you even start his program. If you can't get on board with baby step 0, unless you've already done it, if you can't get on board with baby step 0, you're probably not going to follow his program to the T, which is something that I recommend. I find myself that I am successful in many of the things that I do, not because I'm smarter or better than most people. It's just because I am very diligent, and if someone says A plus B equals C and they have some case studies that show that that works, I follow things to a T. I rarely deviate from a recipe or a system until I completely understand it for myself. And so I think a lot of people don't like Dave Ramsey's programs or FPU because they deviate and then they're like, oh, it doesn't work. But it's just like, no, you just didn't follow the recipe, and if you follow the recipe, maybe it'll work. So without further ado, let's get into baby step 0. Number 1 task that's outlined for baby step 0 is to commit to never borrowing money again, which this is what I mean when I say if you're probably not willing to buy into baby step 0, his program isn't going to work, because his program is a radical, and people should look up the definition of radical because he says that it's radical. It is a radical debt elimination plan. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that his program is something else, but Financial Peace University is a radical debt elimination financial management plan. And because it's radical, the very first task that he assigned you to is making the personal commitment to never borrow money again. The second task that he asked you to commit to is to writing a new budget every single month. And he's recently updated it to either writing or filling out the Every Dollar app budget. But essentially, he asked you to commit to completing a budget every single month. This is another task that many people are not willing to buy into because they believe that it's fine to just create a general budget and run the numbers in your head. But if any of you all have been following me for a while, you see that month to month, my budget changes, shifts. There are some things that remain the same, but for the most part, your budget changes every single month because different things in your life happen every single month. And so in order for you to complete baby step 0, you need to commit to writing or making a budget every single month. The third thing that he is asking you to commit to in baby step 0 is to commit to temporarily stopping all retirement savings, which again, this is quite a challenge for most people. Most people are unwilling to temporarily stop retirement savings for them to go through his program. And his rationale for why he asked you to temporarily stop your retirement is because the idea of saving for retirement while you are carrying a ton of debt, the amount of maybe interest that you're gaining on your debt versus what you're saving, one doesn't outweigh the other. And 2, he wants to make you a little bit uncomfortable so that you remain gazelle intense the entire time. And that's why the commitment is to temporarily stop your retirement savings. But also from a mathematical perspective, if you're getting 3% on what you're saving, or 10%, I don't know what your retirement return is, but if you're getting 10% on everything that you're investing in your retirement savings, but you have credit cards or student loans or a mortgage or a car loan that's over the percentage rate that what you're saving, you'd be better served to take the money that you're saving, put it on your debt, eliminate that, so that way your debt isn't costing you money and your savings are actually working for you. The fourth thing that Dave asked you to commit to is becoming current on your 4 walls. And your 4 walls include food, shelter, transportation, utilities, and a little bit of clothing. And these 4 walls are those essential things that you need just so that you can function. And a little bit more broadly, the things that you need so that you can actually earn an income, because your income is a huge component to being successful in Dave Ramsey's program. And so the next thing that he asked you to commit to is cutting lifestyle. So that could be canceling Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, iTunes. It's literally the lifestyle choices that you're making consciously or unconsciously. It could potentially be cutting your magazine subscriptions, but anything that is associated with your lifestyle, making the decision to actually cut that significantly is the task that he asked you to commit to before moving on to baby step number 1. Last but certainly not least, the last thing that Dave Ramsey asked you to commit to before being able to move forward toward baby step number 1 is to make a commitment to become current on all your bills. And again, this is something that's quite difficult for people because, and I've explained this in a couple of my other budget videos, becoming current on your bills, because people misunderstand what current means, and on time and current are not always the same thing. I know that language seems like these are total synonyms, but they're not always the same thing. And I talk about that in another video, so I won't go into great detail here, but he asked you to make the commitment to become current on all of your bills. So for me, now having completed baby step number 0, what I can say is that although this baby step sounds like it's all about, a commitment, like if someone were to say, well, what's the theme of baby step 0? Most people would probably say the theme is commitment. But for me personally, having just recently completed this step, I think the true theme of baby step 0 is honesty. And it is really the step where you have to finally and wholly and completely be honest with yourself, because truthfully you will be unwilling to make a commitment until you're 100% honest. You have to be 100% honest about your lifestyle, 100% honest about your 4 walls. Does it cost you $298 a month in groceries to be able to eat fully? You have to be honest. You have to become honest about, borrowing money, whether you're borrowing money from yourself or borrowing money from your friends, because a lot of people will go into their savings and say, oh, well, I'm borrowing money from myself, so it's okay. But there's some dishonesty in that, because it's your money, so you don't actually have to borrow from yourself. Why not just allow that money to stay in your budget and leave what's in your savings in your savings? So for me, this entire baby step 0 was about being honest with myself, and it took me 6 months to complete baby step 0, and that is not a short period of time. That is half a year, but I am happy that I completed it at a pace that will allow me to not have to return to this step in a few months. That will not cause me to look back and be like, what did I do? How did that happen? It's like, no, I know exactly what I did to be able to get out of this baby step. So specifically the things that I've done over the last 6 months in order to complete baby step 0, the number 1 thing that I did was I stopped borrowing money from myself and from credit in general, whether that be friends, whether that be a credit card, or whether it be me being like, oh, I'm putting money in savings, but I would be in there every single month. That was like the number 1 thing, is I just had to be like, all right, you are using credit. Like, I know that you're justifying it because you're spending it on therapy, but you're using credit. And then I finally had to get to the point where I was just like, okay, you're not going to do this. A really big thing that served me over the last 6 months was documenting my budget. So I had made the commitment to doing a budget, but then me documenting it online took everything to the next level, because I actually heard myself say out loud what I was spending money on. And I think one of the biggest shockers, which actually helped me to make some shifts in my lifestyle, was when I was going through my budget and I had written down what it would cost for dog food, and then I wrote down either what I was sending in child support or what I was sending my son for commission. And I was just like, I'm spending the same amount of money on my son as I am my dog. That is a problem for me, just because it's a reflection of a priority issue, right? Like, you're not making enough money to take care of your child and have a dog at this point. And so that helped me to be able to move forward with finding my dog a new home and just different things of that sort, which is basically cutting lifestyle, right? So like initially, you know, I'm coming out of the situation and I'm earning money and I'm like, oh, you know, I'll take care of my son and I'll have a dog, and the dog is helpful for ABC reasons. But it's just like, you know, there was a moment where I had to be honest with myself, and it's just like, you are spending the same amount a month on your dog as your son. Is this the type of person that you want to be? And if it's not, then you need to adjust accordingly. So other thing that I did is I really focused on securing my four walls. I think that even sometimes when I was doing it out loud, like I had worked maybe for 2 or 3 months to try to get my grocery budget to $1 a day, to spend just $30. But I kept going over, and I realized that $1 a day was unrealistic, just for health reasons, and even just for a little bit of variety. It was a little bit too unrealistic for me, but I'm still proud to say that I got my grocery budget monthly to $50, which is still very amazing. But I worked on that, and I worked on figuring out what it actually cost for me to eat a month. I figured out how to get the clothing that I would need, and you guys know that I'm doing a capsule and I need to update you guys on the spring capsule, but doing a capsule wardrobe helped out tremendously there. Figuring out transportation, I mean, making the commitment to either walk or get a 30-day bus pass, like just biting the bullet and doing that, allowing my car to be repossessed, like that was me figuring out my four walls in that particular aspect of transportation. That was huge. But I had, like, month to month, I had to look at those things and say, okay, what are you really going to do? And then in terms of like me cutting my lifestyle, I mentioned like I had a dog. So there's one video where I talk about a dog named Stella. That dog is not my dog. It's a dog. She's a dog that I used to babysit. She passed away, but she was the first dog that I ever loved. Like, I didn't even think that I was going to ever be a dog person. And then I met Stella, but I wasn't able to keep Stella because she wasn't my dog. And so I felt that bond that you have with like companion animals, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want a dog. And so then I got a dog, and same breed, it was a pit bull, and I named him Valor, and he was amazing. But then I had that a little epiphany that I was spending the same on Valor as I was my son. And then also, I did not, in my home, like Valor was like a dog, like he was like a teenager with tons of energy and stuff, and I didn't have a backyard. And I'm like, I love dogs, I cannot try to make this dog a house dog when he is clearly a yard dog, where he like needs a yard. He needs to be able to come in, but he also needs a yard to be able to hang out for majority of his day. And so, you know, coming to terms with getting rid of my dog, that was hard. Like and I didn't even know how hard it was until like maybe like 3 or 4 days after I was at my part-time job, and I had a severe panic attack to the point where I had to leave for the rest of the day, because I did not know that like because I made the decision for Valor to go to another family, but I didn't know how much security and how much peace. And from a perspective of like post-traumatic stress disorder, there's a reason they use dogs, because the amount of security that having him, or even when Stella would come and visit, like I didn't even know that I was that much calmer. And you guys can probably see it in videos where Valor's in the background or Stella's in the background, like I show up, you know, calm, and like my skin is glowing. And it's because, I don't know, energetically, I don't know how it works with dogs, but like there's something about having them in the atmosphere. But in order for me to move forward with the Dave Ramsey plan, I had to be honest, right? Like, Stacey, this dog does add an aid to your life and your healing, but you have a decision to make for right now, what's best for you so that you can move forward on this plan. And I made the decision to, you know, give Valor to another family and then babysit Stella. And then it was just very unexpected and unfortunate that Stella passed away. And in the future, I will get another dog, but I won't get another dog until I can afford another dog. And what I'm paying for my dog is not the same as what I'm paying for my child. The other thing that I did in order to complete baby step 0 is I became current on my bills. And if you look at my January budget, there was a moment where I thought I was ahead on my rent, and I really just wasn't. And then if you look at like our December budget, I think I thought I was ahead, and then I wasn't. And then finally I figured out there was a particular subscriber, Survivor Fan 32, that kept talking about being in the red, and I couldn't understand that concept, but I worked hard every single month. And what he was trying to communicate to me was that I was never actually really current on my rent, or pretty much any of my things because I was always going over all of my bills. But I think with his persistent, like, you're doing this wrong, this is what I mean, that's not the correct word, like his persistent like back and forth through the comments, it really helped me to get to the point where I am 100% current on my rent, I'm 100% current on my phone bill, I'm 100% current on all of my expenses, and that is a wonderful feeling. And having completed all of these things, like, there is a measure of like security that you have as you're moving forward and stepping into baby step number 1. And it seems like a lot of tasks to complete before you even get like on the plan, and that's because it is. But it is a lot of tasks to complete, because if you think about it, if you are somebody who's making the decision to eliminate debt, you have been in an unconscious crisis for a while. Like, you've been very out of tune with the reality of your finances, and the moment you wake up and you decide to be in tune, it shouldn't be easy to just snap into something else. Like, no, like, you've been making mistakes, you've been doing things in error, and in order to get out of that, it should take a couple of paces, it should take a couple of steps to say, okay, this thing that I was doing unconscious, I'm conscious to it now, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to take the necessary steps forward so that I can be in a better position financially. And if you're anything like me and you're working with like a not great financial blueprint, like, these steps may take you a little bit longer. Like, there are other people who have amazing financial blueprints, and maybe it'll only take them a month to get out of baby step 0. But for me, my financial blueprint was just, it's terrible. It's dotted with all sorts of like emotional wounds that are heavily connected to my financial choices. It's dotted with all sort of misinformation that's heavily connected to the amount of debt that I acquire. It's dotted with so many different things that I essentially found myself overcoming step by step as I was completing baby step 0. And I wanted to pop on and share that with you all, because some of you all want to be a part of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. You find yourself inspired by my journey, and I want you to have all of the information so that way, if you want to go on this journey, you understand not only just the pace that I'm going, but all of the things that are involved in each of the steps that I'm taking, whether it's baby step 0 or baby step number 1. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that, you know, as you are embarking on becoming 100% debt free, that you take the time to pause and say, have I completed baby step 0? Because I will tell you this, if you don't complete baby step 0, you will fail and you will have to start back over, because not being current on your bills, not being current on your 4 walls, not making the commitment to no longer use debt, like, you're going to find yourself right back here in this situation. And I don't want that for any of us. I want us to be able to get rid of all of our debt and live 100% by cash. And I know with your support, I am definitely well on my way to being able to do that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. I am so grateful that you are supporting my work, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Bye.